sure you'll be aware of the stuff that Rob Key said yesterday with regards to Noosa, with some of the social media stuff that's followed, just as England captain, how you reflect on that and what happened?
Yeah, look, I'm obviously aware of the reports and everything circulating around right now. My main concern right now was my players. How I handle this moment right now is the most important thing to me. The welfare of everyone in there and probably some certain individuals as well is the most important thing to me right now as England captain. This kind of stuff is very, I don't know if close to me is the right wording, but something that I have first-hand experience of what this can, how it can affect people. And as I said, my role as England captain is to protect my players as much as I possibly can. We have a goal still to try and achieve out here on this trip. It's not gone anywhere near to plan whatsoever. We've still got 2 games of cricket to play. We've still got a lot of efforts and energies to put in the remaining of this tour, and looking after my players is one of the main things that I need to get out of this, because we need to go out there and win 2 games of cricket. And I know how this kind of stuff can affect people, and as I said, I will always protect my players as much as I possibly can. And right here, right now, that is my main job as England captain, is to ensure that they know that they have my backing. Because the most important thing to me sitting here right now is a group of players who I can get into a best possible state to go out there and try and perform for this country and the remaining of this trip.
I would say you seem a wee bit emotional about that. It's a serious moment. Do you feel like it's rocked you a wee bit the last 48 hours and stuff that's gone on?
I think as I just said, I know how it can affect people. It's never a nice place to be in when not only the media world but also the social media world is just piling on top of you. It's a very tough place to be in as an individual, and as an individual when you know you've got the support of the people who are sort of leaders in a sense. It's very good and to know that you've got that support. So I will always try my best job to do that, to look after every single person in this group, from players to management, support staff, whatever it may be. Because look, I'm the captain of the side, and I'm very, very determined to go out and win the remaining 2 games, and making sure that our focus is more towards that than some of the other stuff that's going on right now.
With that all being said, do you feel that you have a full squad of players, everyone at this moment ready mentally, emotionally, physically to choose from, or are there people who have been affected who might not be able to pull it this way?
Yeah, and that's where the I guess the skill of this certain skill of leadership comes to be most important, and showing that support and trying to get everyone's mind towards the actual goal of what we are here for is what I have been doing and what I will try and do for the remainder of this trip.
And do you feel that you've got a good chance of leading out an England team on Boxing Day in front of 90,000, 100,000 people that is ready to go and play to the best of their ability?
Absolutely. That's as I say, that's why we're here. And we've got today, we've got tomorrow, and then we've got the game to start on Boxing Day. So we need to make sure that we come together and make sure the focus is still heavily on the cricket. That's where my focus definitely is most pointed towards. Because, as I said, after the last game, we still got a hell of a lot to play for. And yeah, I'm very determined to leave Australia with, something positive to look back on, and we've got an opportunity here with these 2 games coming up still to play that we can still sort of do that.
And do you have, at this point on your training, do you have a team, or is it a question of leaving it a little later and working out who's actually going to be the 11 who will be in the best position to pull up and turn out?
Yeah, we'll announce the team after training.
Any more questions? Further questions? Go to Tom at the back. Go on, Tom SEN, and then we'll go Tom Channel 7.
Ben, in your mind, did the players, did your teammates do anything wrong in Noosa?
I've just answered everything there.
So that was sort of my question as well, Ben. You reflected about being prepared to win this series. Do you think that the players, from what we've seen from Noosa, have prepared to win this series?
I've just said I will always continue to support my players. I have a responsibility as captain out on the field to try and win games of cricket, but in moments like these, I have that other responsibility of making sure that I will always protect my players, and in a moment where I feel that is necessary, and right here, right now, this is one of those moments to try my hardest to protect them, and also try and get them out on the field in the best possible mental space as possible.
We'll go to Sam.
Ben, you referenced the media and social media speculation a little bit earlier when you were speaking there, and there has been an avalanche of commentary and also quite the spotlight on the team throughout this series. Do you think that's been fair?
Do you want, in terms of
how much the team has been criticised and questioned for its decisions?
When you're 3-0 down and you've lost the series, everything you say, everything you do gets, scrutinised and bought into, and rightly so. You don't really have a leg to stand on when you've lost 3 games in a huge series like this. So, look, when you're winning, everything's great. When you're losing, it's not. And as I've just said, when you are 3-0 down, you don't really have a leg to stand on. But look, we've got 2 games of cricket left to play. That's where I see this at. What other things can we have to focus on? We haven't won a game in Australia here for a long, long time. So there is still a lot to play for.
We'll go back, Ryan corner. Yeah, with your arm up. Yeah, go ahead.
Ben, just in terms of the squad and the team's mindset going into the Melbourne test, here in this city, obviously it's a major occasion, Boxing Day test. Going in 3-0 down and with everything said about Noosa, are you treating this test now as a reset or as a continuation of the series to try and win?
We're obviously going to try and win this test match like we have done the other 3. And we'll have different conditions to have to factor in and try and combat. This will obviously be a different wicket to what Adelaide played like. We actually probably played our best overall cricket in Adelaide, but still wasn't good enough to get the result. And we'll have to do again. We'll have to start again here in Melbourne. Look to see what the conditions look like and try and adapt accordingly. Like I thought we did a lot better in Adelaide than we did in the first 2 test matches. But yeah, look, we're coming to Melbourne to try and win this game.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ben, obviously coming to Australia to play in Ashes, any tour is going to be a massive challenge. But has this tested you, your captaincy, the team in ways that maybe you didn't even expect?
You always just try and expect the unexpected. This has not gone anywhere near to plan whatsoever. But look, I've you know, this has obviously been a tough trip so far. I've had some very good times along my captaincy, you know, time so far. But look, when stuff doesn't go right and stuff, you know, sort of feels like everything's going against you, the easy thing is to, you know, run away and hide from that. I try and take everything as I can in my stride, and yeah, take the rough of the smooth. This has definitely been more rough than smooth, but yeah, look, it's been tough, but as always, I will keep cracking on. This team will keep cracking on, and yeah, we are very, very desperate and determined to try and get some results out of the remaining of the series.
Take a few more. We'll go with Louis, and then Dan at the back.
Ben, the Australians said that they were surprised by how you played, the team played in this series at times. Like, just your view on that, and how are you instructing your players to play for these last two games?
I don't know what Australia have said about that, so I don't.
I think they expected you guys to come harder at certain points.
Oh, look, you know, the first two games we know we didn't get quite right in quite a few times with the bat and with the ball. Same again in Adelaide. We've had very small moments where we have got it right. We've just not been able to sustain that for long enough against, you know, this Australian team. They've hope it doesn't get lost, but this Australian team is very, very good. And we know that we've not been able to play at a standard for long enough to keep up with them. Look, we've tried. We've always tried to play the game in front of us to try and win. And when you know that you can look back on these first three games and know that you haven't been able to sustain a quality of cricket for long enough, you're generally going to end up on the wrong side of the result, and that's what has been the case over the last three games. So for these remaining two, it's about us understanding the type and style of cricket that is required and executing those skills for a lot longer than what we have done in the first three games.
Dan Cheney, back left, please.
Ben, do you think there's any risk of guys starting to play for their own protection and long-term careers rather than the best interest of the team at this point, given the way these tentacles can tend to go at this stage, and as an extension of that, how do you guard against that?
No, I don't think so. Everyone's main focus is about the end result, which we always go into of, you know, trying to push towards, you know, winning a game of cricket. As soon as anyone starts to become insular or thinking individual about their own back or their own neck, I think you can see through that, and it's something that I don't think any individual in this team has that trait. We all have our own skills, our own strengths, and also we also have our own weaknesses as well. And you know, complementing each other in certain periods of cricket is something that we've been able to do, you know, quite well over a long period of time, and that's just something that we've not been able to do whilst we've been out here and in big moments of the game. So in terms of any selfishness or individuals looking after themselves, no, I do not think that's the case.
Tom Morris, and then we'll finish here. Last one.
Ben, how's morale in the group?
Sorry?
How's morale in the group?
Yeah, well, look, as you can imagine, everyone's hurting. Everyone's, you know, devastated, disappointed with how it's gone. You know, you come out here with very high hopes and big ambitions about, you know, trying to bring the urn back to England for the first time in a while, and so that obviously, yeah, it sucks and it hurts. It's disappointing, but morale in terms of going forward over these next two games, it's making guys understand that this isn't the end of the tour. We've still got two big games to play, and although we can't get back to UK with what we set out here to do, still walking out there with the 3 lines of your shirt, representing everyone who's played before us, people who will play after us, fans, supporters, all that kind of stuff. So when you put it and think of it like that, then there's so much to play for. So look, there's obviously been a disappointment floating about, but there's still a lot to play for, because 5, 10, 15 years time, when we'll not be able to walk out there and play in front of 100,000 people at MCG, it'll be pretty disappointing. So you've got to enjoy it while we can.
And last one here.
Ben, it seems that there's been a couple of times where you've come down to the back, whereas other people have gone hard. How much does that approach alter to each individual?
Yeah, well, that's say to everyone, it's when you get given your time to go out and influence a game, whether that be with ball or with bat, you've got the full backing of myself, the dressing room to go out and play how you see fit. How I play a certain period, it was different to how someone else will play a certain period. I've got a different way of thinking about cricket as other people do as well. But everyone goes out there with that, thing in the back of their head of going, right, this is my time to try and wrestle this back in our favour, and being very clear and committed to that method is the most important thing, whether it's one way or the other. And as long as you're trying your absolute nuts off for your team, then I don't think you can ask much more of anyone. As long as everyone's trying, which everyone is, that's all you can ask of the guys, and learning from any mistakes if there have been some made across these 3 games as well.